Boruto just did the one thing that Kawaki will never forgive. In Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 25, in the aftermath of he and Kawaki being brutally mocked by Jura, with Jura withstanding their best attacks and made them look utterly powerless, Boruto turned to the last person that Kawaki would have ever wanted him to, Momoshiki Otsutsuki. And not only did Boruto speak to him, going inside of their shared dimension, but he offered him everything. Full control of his body. This is the second time that Boruto has secretly reached out to Momoshiki without Kawaki's knowledge, and if history repeats itself, Kawaki's fury will burn hotter than ever before. Remember, the last time that Boruto and Momoshiki were caught working together in secret, where Kawaki could sense that Momoshiki was manifesting outside of Boruto's body, Kawaki sealed Naruto and he tried to kill Boruto himself. But this time, the betrayal, it cuts even deeper, because Kawaki knows what Momoshiki wants most. He wants for Kawaki to be consumed as food for the Ten Tails to harvest a chakra fruit. So what happens when Kawaki learns that Boruto is bargaining with the very demon who wants him dead, the very demon that Kawaki under no circumstances would ever trust? What happens when Boruto shows Kawaki that deep down he's willing to work with Momoshiki? Will Kawaki interpret that as Boruto trusts Momoshiki more than he trusts Kawaki? Today, we're going to look right at all of it. Why Boruto might have just risked everything to make this deal. Why Kawaki will explode once he learns this truth. And how Japanese folklore has foreshadowed this entire betrayal, ironically, centuries ago. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video, where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, hopefully changes your perspective on Boruto's deal, and at least gets you to have a reason to pause a bit to consider several different sides of the conflict. Also, if you've not seen the chapter review yet, I'll leave that linked in the end credits and description box for your convenience, which, if you're one of the people confused about why Himawari is living alone, or the way that Sada's conversation with Sumire ties in lore from Naruto's manga you probably forgot, and you most importantly don't understand Japanese culture, I strongly recommend the review, because a lot makes more sense when you understand Japanese culture, because Ikimoto did a lot of stuff that Japanese fans would have caught on their first read of the manga, but I've seen with a lot of Western fans, there's a huge disconnect. A lot of stuff went over their heads because things that they didn't think was important culturally is important. Now, let's just jump right into it. So first we have to start with Boruto's desperation against Jura. So Boruto's situation is that Jura is just not another Shinju clone. He is a predator on an entirely different level. We saw him toy with Boruto, swatting away his attacks like it was nothing, continuously fighting down to Boruto's level, and then once he got serious, after Boruto cut off his leg, it only took less than a handful of blows before Boruto was knocked unconscious. He was seconds away from death. Death by Biju Dama had Kawaki not stepped in. Even more telling, Kawaki himself, he didn't even try to continue his fight with Jura after Jura regenerated after taking Kawaki's best attacks. He didn't even suggest a team up with Boruto. That silence, it tells us everything. Even Kawaki knew that together as they were in that moment, they could not win, because if they could have won, he would have said to do it, because Kawaki's coldly logical and Jura is the biggest threat to everyone on the planet. Boruto knows it too, which is why he made the unthinkable choice. He went back to Momoshiki. And here's where the Japanese text makes things crystal clear, because the English translation, while it does a good job on the officials, there's some stuff in Japanese that does not fully translate over into English the best way via the official. But the official did get part of the tone right. He does say that he'll give Momoshiki what he desires the most, but only under certain conditions. And that's really stressed in Japanese. There's an undertone that is in there that is more than just, hey, if we defeat Jura. He's not surrendering blindly. He's bargaining like a shinobi who has no cards left. He's placing a dangerous bet on Momoshiki's hatred of Jura, but there's a strongly implied undertone in the Japanese manga that Boruto is about to place more than one condition on Momoshiki in exchange for this, and it's beyond just, hey, kill Jura. So when this happens in the manga, if you notice, it looks like Momoshiki's Byakugan might be in the process of activating. He seems like he might be preparing to peer into that scattered future, because as Ikimoto said, Momoshiki's Byakugan ability is unique to him. It's not 10 directions, it's something completely different. And Momoshiki looks like he's smiling. So either he used the Byakugan before this or he's about to. That chilling grin, it isn't about acceptance. It might be foreshadowing. Momoshiki might see something in this deal that works in his favor. And for Boruto, this is survival. For Kawaki, you better believe he's going to take this as betrayal. And this will enrage Kawaki. Kawaki's entire worldview, it is built around protecting Naruto. If you just strip everything away and give the most basic answer, no more complex stuff surrounding Kawaki because it's more to his character. But if you want to make that the most basic explanation, protecting Naruto is at the top of his bucket list. Eliminating threats like Code and Boruto, Jura, and Momoshiki, that's what he wants to do. For Kawaki, Momoshiki is the purest definition of danger. He wants to sacrifice Kawaki to grow a chakra fruit, which would destroy the world. Unless Boruto's manga does what the Naruto Shippuden filler arc did, where it showed that Kaguya basically contained one section of the planet for the chakra fruit itself. Again, that is filler. I don't count it. It goes in the trash bin. However, it should be worth noting that Momoshiki has always wanted Boruto's body as a vessel, in the sense that he can't resurrect using Boruto's body, but he can hijack from time to time. And he said the next time he got full control of Boruto's body, Boruto wasn't getting it back. Momoshiki represents everything that Kawaki hates about the Otsutsuki cycle of destruction. Now imagine Kawaki discovering that Boruto, he didn't just talk to Momoshiki. This man pulled up, went to see him, and he struck a bargain with him. This will be the second time that Boruto has worked with Momoshiki behind Kawaki's back. The first time, it was to learn more about Ada's jutsu and etc. Information about Shibai. Boruto was asking questions. Kawaki found out in his rage it was nuclear. He immediately said, okay, fuck this, I'm out of here. He sealed Naruto into another dimension, told Hinata, you can get some too, put her in there alongside Naruto simultaneously, and he tried to outright kill Boruto, believing that this was the only way to end the Momoshiki threat. So what do you think's gonna happen when Kawaki learns this new deal? You better expect paranoia. You better expect anger. You damn sure better expect betrayal. Kawaki might see Boruto's compromise, and it's gonna hurt a lot because he still views him as a brother, and this moves him from viewing Boruto as a brother to potentially viewing him as a liability. Even worse, Kawaki knows that, hey, Momoshiki wants him, his body, his life. Kawaki's not trying to be fodder for a Ten Tails. Even if Boruto makes a deal with Momoshiki, Kawaki's not going to trust that. That makes it personal. It's almost like, and again, view this from Kawaki's perspective. For as paranoid as Kawaki is, for as much PTSD as Kawaki has when it comes to the Otsutsuki, Kawaki would view something like this as Boruto potentially handing Kawaki's a death sentence to Momoshiki. He's going to interpret that potentially as, if you can kill Jura, hey, you can cash in Kawaki, because he's going to look at Boruto as being naive, thinking he can trust Momoshiki. That would, in character, be why Kawaki's furious. Not just because Boruto worked behind his back again, but because Boruto was naive enough to think that Momoshiki would not betray their deal and, by extension, have Kawaki's life forfeit. Now, we as readers, I think we all pretty much agree that Boruto probably has an ace up his sleeve to prevent that, but that remains to be seen, and that might be, again, dramatic irony. We know it, but Kawaki as a character in the universe doesn't. Now, in terms of how this might fuel Kawaki's paranoia, Kawaki's already walking a thin line mentally. He's isolated in the sense that every time he hears somebody talk crazy about Boruto, he knows they're really talking about him. He's Naruto's son and he's beloved by everyone in the village, but at the end of the day, because he knows the truth, because he knows what he did after omnipotence. Kawaki is isolated. He's also paranoid, and he is increasingly desperate to protect the world because he wants to keep the world that Naruto fought so hard for intact. This deal could push him further down that spiral. If Boruto's willing to cut deals with a devil, Kawaki might feel even more justified in cutting Boruto down, especially once Jura is taken care of. Potentially the moment Jura is taken care of, he might say gotcha bitch and take him out. Think of it from Kawaki's perspective. Naruto is sealed because Momoshiki was a threat via Boruto. Boruto is flirting with Momoshiki's power again. Kawaki potentially might not look at it as, hey, we need this to take down Jura. He might look at it like, dog, you can't even control karma. You expect me to believe you can control Momoshiki's power with him giving you everything and his soul attached to yours? You expect me not to believe there's some funny business taking place? If we follow the pattern of what we've seen so far, Boruto should get control over Momoshiki, because we've been seeing characters get their mental nerfs lifted into Blue Vortex, which has gone over the heads of quite a few fans. But reread the manga from start to finish to Blue Vortex and you'll see what I'm talking about. So it also plants seeds of paranoia, because he is going to ask, can I trust Boruto again? This is the second time. Now, when you look at the Japanese folklore and the Shinto parallels, this makes the Boruto and Kawaki relationship even more tumultuous, and it also starts peppering the seeds for how we get to that moment where Boruto says, is this the only possible outcome? I don't think Momoshiki is what triggers that, but I think that this is one of the many things that just adds fuel to the fire that eventually reaches that fuse that blows up. So in the Japanese folklore, this story really echoes the story of Susanoo and Yamato no Orochi. So in that Shinto story, Susanoo faces the 8-headed serpent Orochi, a monster too overwhelming to face directly. To defeat it, he uses trickery and strategy. He intoxicates Orochi with sake before he strikes it down, and as a result, Susanoo gets his bride Kushina Hime, which again, longtime viewers of the channel know, saw this character is written with a lot of characteristics of Kushina Hime, but Boruto's in a similar situation. He can't face Jura directly, so he's turning to deception. He is bargaining with Momoshiki to tip the scales, but the danger's clear. Unlike Susanoo's sake, Boruto's weapon that he's trying to use to intoxicate Momoshiki is himself. This is an analogy. Just as Susanoo got Orochi drunk off of sake, Boruto's hoping he can get Momoshiki drunk off the possibility of controlling his body, even if there are stipulations attached to it, despite the fact that Momoshiki is a force who can't truly be trusted and controlled. There's also a Buddhist undertone here. In many teachings, striking deals with devils and demons for temporary salvation, it only leads to greater suffering down the line. Boruto's decision mirrors that karmic trap, winning today by risking damnation tomorrow. And we've seen that Boruto, he does this, and it's a continuation of his character flaw from part 1. Early part 1 at that, being willing to take shortcuts over hard work. In this case, it's not because he's afraid of hard work, but he's looking at it because he's, as Kishimoto said when promoting Boruto the movie and promoting the Boruto manga in 2015 and 2016 and 2017 respectively. He says that Boruto's the kid who knows where all the shortcuts are. He's just smart enough, he doesn't seek them out, he just recognizes where the shortcuts are. Boruto's looking for the quickest way to take down Jura. He's basically saying to hell with the very calculated plan that Kashin Koji came up with. And as we saw when that happened, look at what happened. The timeline changed. For Kawaki, he sees himself as being Naruto's protector, the slayer of demons. This would be unforgivable in his mind. In Boruto's mind, he has chosen to embrace Orochi, which would be Momoshiki, instead of destroy him. And that's where you start seeing more of the divide between the two that's going to lead us to that eventual confrontation. It's the Brotherhood betrayal. And that's where it cuts the deepest. Kawaki wouldn't just be angry because Boruto made a reckless choice. He's angry because despite everything, the omnipotence that was used, they triggered in Ada, the exile, the hatred from the village, Kawaki, in spite of all that stuff that's happened, he still views Boruto as his brother. That's directly told to us in the end of Boruto Part 1. Ada herself confirmed it. Even with reality rewritten, Kawaki's heart never let go of that bond. Deep down, Boruto's still the closest thing that Kawaki has to family outside of Naruto. So imagine how this feels for Kawaki when the one person he can still call his brother hides something like this for a second time. Boruto didn't just make a tactical mistake, he might have potentially broken trust. And for someone like Kawaki, who's been abandoned, been abused, and betrayed his whole life, that's why this deal with Momoshiki, it won't just anger Kawaki, it will wound him. Because from his perspective, Boruto didn't just gamble with his life, he gambled with their bond. When family betrays you, even accidentally, when the last person you thought you could rely on makes a deal with your enemy, that pain, it doesn't go away. It festers, it becomes fuel. So Kawaki's rage won't just be aimed at Momoshiki, it'll also be aimed at Boruto, about the brother he loves and the brother that he feels he can potentially no longer trust. And that's how it all comes together. Boruto's desperation to defeat Jura has led him to gamble with Momoshiki's power. A gamble that might work, but it will almost certainly cost him trust in the eyes of Kawaki. Kawaki already views Boruto as a potential vessel for danger. He told him when he showed up, hey, grab your balls because I'm using Karma. If Momoshiki takes over, I'll kill you. This deal, it might confirm his worst fears. Boruto can't truly be separated from Momoshiki, and that one day, Boruto's choices might doom them all. Boruto's existence might doom them all. And when that realization sets in, we've seen Kawaki before. Despite a bond between brothers, he's not afraid to shatter it for good. He is a consequentialist. As long as he gets the desired end outcome, Kawaki would do whatever is needed. Because if Kawaki could not forgive Boruto the first time he was talking to Momoshiki, what really makes you think he'll do it a second time? Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, clicking here on the left for that chapter review, or click here on the right to check out videos from other two anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.